and being paid back has attracted your attention in particular. What about it?
Well, I mean, I'm just a little excited about this Kusi Boateeng and his loan to the National Cathedral. First of all, a government starts a project, and a private citizen is deemed to have more money than the government. And therefore, the private citizen gave a loan to the government to execute a project, and then went back to receive payment for repayment from the government for the loan. Sounds to me like what happened in Mobutu's time. But the most important thing is that Kusi Boateeng, has now brought his company into the domain. That company had excess of 2 million cedis sitting in the account that the company didn't need, that they could use. I think that is welcome news, because it gives us the opportunity to now probe the talent company to its various. Look, their documents could be turned upside down. Their taxes, their promoters' taxes, the businesses they have been doing. I've seen in the report there they say they supply healthcare equipment. This provides the opportunity to look into not just that particular company and the loan issues, but to the businesses of the directors and the promoters of the company. And that could go into the issue of the church and everything. Because you see, once you're a director of a company and you're under investigation, everything that you do is subject to investigation. Okay, if a private company can sit down, I'm sure they have a board. They had a board, because to be able to give that kind of loan, the board must have sat and approved that one person, somebody or chief executive, can sign the loan. So all those board members who sit on that company are subject to investigation. And once you are a subject of investigation, your personal taxes, your businesses, everything is going to be part of that investigation. So they should sit down and tickle themselves and laugh. But as Dr. Toya has said, a big tree is about to fall. And the other thing I wanted to add is the fact that I remember there was a court decision. I don't remember the specific case, that when it comes to giving loans, you must have a certain kind of license. Okay? So I've seen in the report they say they do other things. But the issue about giving loans, your ability to give loans, you require a specific license to do that. So they can they can get on and laugh and talk, but they've just put themselves in a very serious possibility of wide investigation. You can't just get up as a company and start giving loans. When somebody has to go through a microcredit license for several years in order to get the license to give loans. Okay? So they should keep ahead. They should go and laugh like this is a joke. They can use public money and just dish it around and come up with cock and bull stories and think this is a joke.
In fact, for the average Ghanaian, sometimes this thing do happen, that we're doing a project together. At some point, we stuck. We don't. Maybe the money that we're expecting is not coming in. Then we ask one of the people, maybe one among us who we know, maybe perhaps a bit liquid. Do you have some money to give us, less, so that we can continue the project whilst wait for that money to come in? That sounds like something that's done regularly when it comes to project execution.
Sarah. Well, I mean, in the private sector, you can do some few things, but when the private sector interfaces with the government is a creature of procedure, regulations, and law. So whatever you do in your house, you can't say that because I beat my children at home. When you go to town and somebody's child is walking around, you just get up and start beating the child. Okay? So what you do in your private space is a different ball game when it comes to the public space. And that's why you have the situation where these very senior men of God have put themselves in this situation because they own a one-man business that they call the shots on everything. Then they become public servants. And you see, Senna, when somebody is appointed into a public position, he has a terms of reference. Does the terms of reference of Kusi Boateeng say that in the event that you are the chief executive or you are a board member or you are the overseer of this project, you're supposed to oversee all of its operations, and in the case when there are issues with finance, you personally can give a loan to the project. You can't do that. This is a government project. This is a public project. If you don't have the money to do it, you don't start it. It's as simple as that. So for me, they got themselves involved in a very sticky situation, and they are just consistently trying to defend themselves. And in the course of doing that, they are digging themselves more into the grave. They are bringing in more, and I love stuff like this. In his attempt to defend a very small issue, he's now bringing in his private company. He's now bringing in his other businesses, and that is going to only widen the investigation. So, how much taxes has Talent Group paid in the past years that they are able to have 2 million CDs that they can just loan to the government? You see, you can't have a private citizen. So look, you're a government agency, okay? If you're going to contract a loan, there are procedures of how the government of Ghana contracts a loan. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
When the government of Ghana wants to contract a loan, we know the procedures they are supposed to follow. So you can say that you gave a loan. After what you can say, they say if wishes were like flowers, everybody will get the best. You can say that you gave a loan, but there are procedures of how the government contracts a loan for to finance activities of government agencies. There are procedures.
But Mr. Shaka, can it not be pardoned because at the whole time the president had given them an indication that this is a faith-led, so this is more like a faith-based project, that what the government was giving them was support.
Senator, from day one, when the project started with the government, everybody should have known that it could not be a faith-based. It was not an association of Christian churches that came together and said we are starting a cathedral. This is a project that was dreamed, developed, promoted, and established by the government. How does anybody in his common sense say that this was a private project? When you are appointed by the government to be on a project, you know the registration. You see in the registration that all of this is being held in trust for a national agency. How do you still say that this is a private project? Okay, and we've been led along this line that there's a possibility from that even before public money started flowing in, it was clear this is a project dreamed by the president, a public servant, occupying a public office, established, and its members representing the company are all public servants. The whole project is on behalf of a government agency, will be owned by that government agency. How did this become a private project?
Very interesting. On the matter of the double identity issue, I don't know if you've read, but this is the conclusion that they came to. Based on the evidence before it, the commission finds that contrary to the complainant's allegation that the fourth respondent, Victor Kusi Boateeng, aka Kobna Dujemfi, holds 2 different passports, each bearing one of his 2 names with different days of birth on each document, the fourth respondent rather holds 1 diplomatic and 1 ordinary passport only under his name, Kobna Dujemfi. For the avoidance of doubt, at no point in time has the fourth respondent been issued with a passport under his name, Victor Kusi Boateeng. They are relying on information from the passport office to reach this conclusion. On that matter, I know Honorable Kujato has put out the fact that he has 2 separate things in the name of Kobna Dujemfi. Victor Kusi Boateeng has put out documents in both names, among others. Is this by any way a clearance for you?
Okay, so, Sana, you see, when you have gone before Chraj many times, and for me, I don't think Okujeto should even focus on whether he has 2 passports or whether he has. The issue is not passport. The issue is the identity. Passport gives you an identity. The issue about a double identity is already established. So I don't know what the focus on double passport is. He has a passport in the name of one name, and he has a national identity in the name of another. He has a tax identification. Do you know how serious that is? That a person can have 2 identifications for taxes. So when you want to chase him for this one, he will show you, oh, this one I paid. So the guy has 50 companies, and he gets money from all of them, and then he divides his revenue, his taxes among the 2 company identities, and show you one. Okay? So please, for me, I don't think the issue Okujeto should worry about whether he has 10 passports or he has 2 passports, because a passport gives you an identity. And in any case, we have been told by the current Chief Justice that the fact that you hold the passport now doesn't mean that that doesn't even matter anymore, because the documentation to getting a passport can be flawed. Now we are looking at national identity. In this country, he has 2 identities, 2 personal identities and 2 tax identities. How does the law allow one person to have 2 identities? He can go and commit a crime in the name of one and come and claim that my name is Kusi Boateeng today. He is having a passport in the name of Jemfi and using Apostle Kusi Boateeng publicly. So, listen, I think the issue of passport is only to establish his identity. His identity has already been established as double. So for me, it is only small mind that will focus on whether or not he has been cleared or the man has 2 identities. You see, a passport is a document that identifies a person, whether as a Ghanaian or where he comes from. That is as simple as that. So the person is standing here. Mr. Boateeng is standing here. He has 2 identities. We can identify him as Kusi Boateeng publicly and Jemfi privately or publicly somewhere else. That is the crux of the matter. So as for the issue of whether or not he has passport in both names, I don't care about that. I care about the fact that he actually has 2 legal identities, which he can use to do a lot of things under the system. Okay? And you have to ask yourself, for me, looking at this, I think there's a much bigger story. Why would a person sit down and decide that one identity that I have, I can't throw it away, but I need another identity and I want to use both? There's something behind that story that we are all not privy to yet. There's something, I can tell you. When you go deep down, you will find out there's something. There's absolutely something. So for me, whether it's a Ghana card, whether he has 2 Ghana cards, or whether he has 2 passports, is not the issue. The issue is that the guy has created 2 identities for one person. And we know what that means under the law. So I feel like Okujeto should not focus or should not worry himself about whether the guy has passport in the other name. The most important thing is he has two identities. If you take the passport now, if you take those two passports now, what are you trying to establish? You are trying to establish identity, isn't it? We already know that the guy has two identities. So why even worry about the passport? It is just things that, I mean, I put it there, and somebody will try. When somebody is thinking, they like to catch on to straw. Okay, this is straw. They are catching on straw because it is obvious that the man has two identities. That is not something that is in doubt. Whether that identity is held in Ghana card and the other one in a passport, for me, is not the issue. That he has two passports. He even has two tax identities. Can you imagine, Senna, having two tax identification numbers? What you can do under the law?
I see. Ms. Acha, have you read Dr. Valerie Sawyer's article in full?
Yes. I actually called her yesterday. Well, I spoke to her yesterday, and I was telling her about her writing skills. And I thought that she was such a brilliant writer. I was making a joke that those who know how to write don't write, and those who don't know how to write say they are writing. Really beautiful writing skills she got.
Very compelling write-up. Once you start, you don't stop. You just
I was listening to one of your colleagues said that when you start reading his article, you just, and that's absolutely true. She has really good writing skills.
And you agree with that a big tree is falling?
I mean, Sana, it's obvious. It's obvious that a big tree is about to fall. It's not the issue about whether it will fall. It's about when. That's after January 7th. There's no doubt about that. And I think that she's drawing some really exciting references to what happens when a big tree is about to fall. Okay, when people are about to lose their strength and their power, they struggle, and they have all sorts of skill machinations. So I think she was drawing a very compelling reference, a comparison to what happened in 2008 to what happened now. And Jenna, I can tell you, it's refreshing for some of us that there are people like Doctor who still remember the struggle to kick these guys out of office in 2008. And I urge all those who work on the side of the NDC to be mindful of that, to be mindful that every time NDC is leaving office, it looks like, oh yeah, we lost, we are going. But these guys, you need to literally kick them out because they like to hang on. It's just who they are. And in the attempt to hang on, they tend to do a whole lot of things. Look, 2008 was a very, very... There are a lot of stories all of us have been told, because I don't like to tell those stories because it's almost like about me. Okay, it's not about me, but it's about the thinking. And 2000 was not Nanadu. Okay, 2000 was under Kufuor. And we almost lost our life. They almost burned Radio Gold into ashes. But for the heroic act of the listeners, I was attacked on my way home. They cut my car into pieces. Look, we've gone through a lot. They burned Radio Gold down. They destroyed our businesses. All of that is because they remember what can happen when people like organizations like Radio Gold are still in existence. These guys don't like to go peacefully, as the law requires. They always need to be pushed and forced out. And I'm happy that there are people like Dr. Sawyer who remember and who are alert to the fact that when a big tree is about to fall, sometimes you need to push them. So it is a very poetic write-up, but the reality is that we all need to open our eyes. We all need to work hard. If you go around the country, there's only one thing people say. After the voting, we know we are voting them out. We just want the NDC to stand up and ensure that they don't do anything that they tried to do in 2020 or in other elections. So for me, I think this is a very beautiful write-up, and kudos to Radio Gold. I know that because of some of the work, because of some of this work, election forensic done by a team, a lot of you have paid the price also. Okay, they shut the station down, destroyed a lot of careers. What I thought would have been a brilliant career. They've distorted the forward march of this station, and I think all of us owe the station. We owe ourselves a responsibility to restore the station back to its old glory and ensure that the people who work there, who have been affected, whose careers have been destroyed, and are given the opportunity for a restart. So the reset, in my opinion, should also include institutions like this that have been completely extinguished, and make sure that they can function to be reset too. And kudos to some of you. The work you do is remarkable, considering what you have gone through over the past few years. What you continue to do is remarkable. But it is also a reminder of the kinds of people we are dealing with. But what do I think? I do believe that a big tree is about to fall with a very small but very sharp axe.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's Raymond Acha. Raymond Acha spent his time as a journalist. He's now doing risk analysis, among many things. He entered into business and was doing very well in the printing business, following from his print journalism background. That business was brought down by President Akufo-Addo through, they said it was a demolition, a court-ordered demolition, among others. So when he says that we've suffered, he's also suffered significantly because of this, because of what happened in 2008. They never really, MPP never forgets in any way. Well, we have to move on to something, but before we do that, SM, small business.
Kunlun Ghana Limited ho ne yakoi na Kunlun Ghana Limited edi enru aba na omaduro baako na no pa mi bo ho dawru edi ama yenuanom emrante awarefo na nsen wa ohwe otibia wofia unse da bi first no eni sese no nsakra aba mu pa first no otimi gina na so pa ekoche ama oyire ma omo apia